What's going on, everybody? My name is Striker, aka Cisco, and I'm excited to get this podcast going.
I am Hunter, also known as Pineapple Sensei.
What's going on, guys? Ben here, otherwise known as Dragon Slayer 956. I'm ready to rock.
I'm Aldo Lopez, also known as Monkey Man, and welcome to DroppeDead, a Deadrop podcast where all we talk about is Deadrop. This week we'll be going over kind of the background of Deadrop and talking about the previous snapshots and what we think about them. So I'd like to start off the podcast first with asking, how you guys first heard of Deadrop? Did you hear from Dr. Disrespect, maybe a news outlet, so maybe another content creator brought it up, and yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, if to jump off first, I actually was just doing some little bit of homework in terms of Web3 gaming on Twitter. I've been following a bunch of different, content creators, trying to stay on top of like what the new games are coming out. And the moment I heard about this team and about the project, I knew immediately that it was something that I was going to follow. So I heard about it on Twitter. I don't know what about you guys, how y'all heard about it.
For me, it was through a buddy. A Canadian friend of mine was like, "Hey, have you heard about this?" I was like, "Oh, no, Dr. Disrespect game, huh? That sounds pretty interesting." So immediately jumped on it. I got an application in right away, like day 1 or 2.
Yeah. I've been watching Dr. Disrespect for quite some time, and he said for several streams in a row, I was like, "We got something planned. We got something big. Stay tuned. Keep up with the streams." And I certainly did, and I didn't know it was going to be something this big and this amazing. And I initially, when he first announced it, like applications are open, go apply. And when I filled out the application, I didn't expect to be a part of the founders. So just a really cool opportunity to be a part of.
Yeah, likewise. I heard it from Dr. Disrespect. I've known about him a long time, but I'm not a big stream watcher, so I just really liked his videos. They're really high quality. And yeah, I guess it got mentioned in one of his videos or something. I signed up on his website, got like the email notifications going, and then it was actually on a road trip. I was on a road trip in California, and I'm on my phone in the 5-hour car ride, and I get a notification like, submit your application now, only 10,000 people selected. I'm like, oh, dude, like, do I wait like 5 days to get back home and do it? Or just do it on my phone? I'm like, limited, only 10,000 people? I mean, I should just do it right now. So I literally did it in the car on my phone. And
You got to do it now.
yeah, like I gotta get it done. I gotta get it done. It's going to be something I want to be a part of. Because I just love Dr. Respect, love his personality. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like those 2 months, or like whatever, 2 or 3 months after I submitted the application, I didn't get a response or really any update. I'm like, didn't get selected, I guess I wasn't really what they were looking for. And then just all of a sudden, you've been selected. I'm like, whoa, like I'm actually part of this now.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. There was like 400,000. Is that right? 400,000 different applicants?
It was something crazy like that.
Yeah, I thought no one would like apply, or 10,000 to me initially. I'm like, that's a lot of people. But then Dr. Disrespect was like tweeting out like, we already have 400,000 applicants, and I'm like, holy, like I'm probably not gonna get selected, but here I am.
I had the same thought. I applied. I'm thinking, okay, why not? I never get selected. I never win anything. I never get a raffle ticket win or anything of that nature. And but I submitted. I submitted it honestly, and in the application process, I would consider myself a somewhat casual gamer. I work full time, in an IT job. I go to school full time, so I'm taking 4 classes at a time. So I really don't get to have a lot of time to play games. But what Doc said about the community that they're looking for, they want like the super casual gamers, but they also want the super competitive gamers. They want the streamers. They want just that diversity in the community. And we'll get into this probably a little bit later, but I'm super stoked to have the community that we have and the community that was selected to be part of the 10,000. And although, just like you said, when I didn't expect anything to come out from this, at all. And to get that email and say, "Oh, you're chosen. Time to drop in," and I'm like, it's like I won the freaking lottery. I was so stoked. I was fumbling around trying to look for my wallet, and I was floored. I could not believe it. It was the easiest $50 I could ever spend, and
Yeah, dude.
I do not regret it at all.
Yeah,
I
man.
remember.
I had gotten my start in terms of like crypto and Web3 gaming. Like I really started back in 2017, but I mean I had been doing the pro gaming from Halo 2 back in the day, back in the day. But like the second I heard about this, I already had some friends messaging me about like, do you think it's something interesting to follow? I was like, are you kidding? Like drop what you're doing now and put it, which is what I did. I was at the office and I was just like putting everything on hold. I need 10 minutes to fill this thing out and figure out what's going to happen. Because I knew, like you were saying, like the 10,000, at least like on the crypto side, 10,000, something that goes by really quick. So I'm just shocked that, hey, I was able to get that application in day one and then got selected too. So let's go, man.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that. Did anybody have a hard time spending that $50? Like once you were already past the point where you're like, okay, you're in, you just have to spend $50. Did anyone reconsider? Because for me, for a second, I was like, man, I know it's not that much, right? It's just $50, but I was not familiar with NFTs at all. Like I knew what they were, I just wasn't interested. And when I found out that I had to get one, it almost deterred me. I was like, I don't know what type of money situation I'm getting myself into. But it ended up being super simple. I mean, I set up a crypto wallet for the first time. It was super simple. Got into the whole program, whatever, right? And now it's turned into this, which is so exciting. But it was almost a deterrent at first until I was like a little more educated, right?
I feel you completely.
Yeah, it's strange because I still don't know anything about crypto. When I initially spent the $50 and the wallet was created on OpenSea, I still have no idea how to use it, what it is. I don't really know, but I'm learning. I met a couple of people at Snapshot 5 and kind of educated myself on a lot of different things regarding crypto. There's still so much more I need to learn. But I'm excited to see how the devs kind of incorporate the currency factor in this game. But education will come along with it, and I'm excited for that ride as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally.
100%.
So let's hop to the next topic of when you did apply, what you're hoping for. I know we already kind of briefly glanced over. So what were you hoping to get out of this? What were you hoping to do in terms of the process? I know they were kind of beating around the bush of like, oh, you're gonna be helping us make this game. So like, what did you think you were gonna be part of? Like, were you gonna be directly, maybe more passive, stuff like that? And yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, when I got selected, or when I was putting in the application, my thoughts were more around the idea of like having such the prominent names behind the project, like trying to take the next step to get a game. And when it comes to this community, what I think is fascinating and that I love, me personally having a little bit more of the crypto experience, is that it's not about the crypto, right? Because the application process went out to players on console, players on PC, players, NFT players also, Web3 players, so it's a big group of like, it's a huge community about, we all are passionate about our different things and we get to come together and enjoy it. So when I put in the application and I was reading through the questions about like, how would you want to fit in the community? Would you want to be this type of member? Would you want to contribute in one way versus another? And for me, I checked all the boxes in terms of, wanting to put, myself out there in terms of the community to be able to help build, when they were talking about the eyes or things along like that I'm sure we'll talk about later. I put myself out there because I was willing to put in the time and the effort, because I already knew with the background of the names behind it that the game had way more potential just from getting started, So that was my expectations, was like completely open to the process.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think to answer that question in my mind, I'll be honest, it was for selfish reasons. I wanted to be a part of a game organization. And to be a startup of one of the huge creative directors from Call of Duty and Halo, and with the backing of Doc. I wanted to be a part of that so badly for selfish reasons. But just like Stryker said, like going through that, I wanted to be more, and now kind of getting into the community and getting into the Discord chat and going to this to these snapshots events. I want to make sure that my vision has kind of shifted, and in the way that I want to build the community, but also I want to protect the community from, you know, poor development, harsh language, or toxic people, toxic traits, and cheating. And cheating is a massive topic right now in all of gaming. And I want to be that beacon whenever people see me in game and say like, oh, that's a founder. Let's kind of get together. Let's make this thing better. I don't know a whole lot about game development. I don't know what goes into it. I know there's a lot, and I know that our feedback that we constantly have given throughout these snapshots is taken very seriously by the devs, and I appreciate that from a player standpoint, where we're in a world where it just doesn't matter right now. These big name companies are going to just make games and really not pay attention to what their community is asking and what they are wanting. So that is my mindset as far as this goes. Is I want to make sure that this game is crisp. It's what people want to play, that they desire to play over everything else. And I just think that's kind of where my mindset is now compared to when I first applied.
Yeah. Like when I applied, like I know the thing that caught my eye was in the application was the guilds, the whole guild idea of like where do you want to be? Where do you want to be placed? What guild do you want to be in? And the ones I chose were like weapon, like the gun stuff. So initially when I recreated the application, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be like in a server with everyone else that said they want to be in the gun guild or got chosen, and all we're gonna do is just come up with ideas with guns, maybe like do some 3D modeling, gun design, or like sound design. And I was almost hesitant to like even submit the application because I'm like, at the time I didn't have a real computer. I had like a gaming laptop that was like 6 years old, so it was really terrible. And I knew nothing about modeling, 3D design. Honestly I still don't. But I'm like, do I even have anything to offer? Like, there's so many people with so many like unique skills. Like, what do I have to offer? And like when I looked at myself, I'm like, nothing. Honestly, I just like play games, and I'm pretty good at them. That's about it. But I'm like, you know what? I'm so willing to learn everything I need to just to be part of this, and that's why I really submitted this. So I was hoping, I was honestly maybe gaining like a few cool cosmetics, but never something as much as what we are now, as like our own personal NFTs that are in the game. Nothing like that. Like I was like, oh look, this guy's got the founder skin on his AR. I'm like, that would have been enough for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, learning, that was a big part for me. I was interested in the playtesting aspect when I started looking further into the application and figuring out what it was I was signing up for, because I was still really in the dark. It said that it was playtesting, and that was something I was looking forward to. I mean, even just growing up, I've always wanted to be a playtester, and so when this was a way to do it for free, kind of like get that non-paid for in my free time kind of perfect situation where I didn't have to do it as a job, but I also, didn't have any restraints on it, I guess you could say. It was perfect. I can do it in my free time. And so then with, the doc being involved, that was what really, really sparked it for me. And I'm a huge competitive guy, so I want to see the future of this game getting competitive. And so that was one of the big driving points for me to be a part of this as well.
That's definitely going to be a main topic later down the line. I'm sure we can spend a whole hour, 2 hours just talking about the competitive future of this game.
Easy.
So we'll leave that for another day, for a whole new podcast. No need to squeeze it in now. So I know not all of us were able to make it to either the New York City or the LA Founders event, but like who was able? I was able to go to the LA event, but not the
I
New
went
York
to
City
LA
one
as well. Yeah.
I couldn't make it. I'm on the other side of the country.
Yeah, I came close. I'm over here in Texas, and I almost was able to make LA, but at the end of it, I wasn't able to pull it off.
Yeah, I'm actually like really local, so I just had to deal with that terrible LA traffic, but that was about it. And
Worth it.
yeah,
Worth
oh
it.
dude, I almost honestly like, so I had to like trick my parents to drive me because I knew they wouldn't let me drive to LA by myself. Um,
Mhm.
so I had to like trick them, and they're like, you know what, whatever, dude. Like you get good grades, we'll take you somewhere. And
There you
I
go.
I think like the event was 18 plus if I remember correctly. And at the time I was like 17. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go, like I'm gonna risk it. But like I was like super scared they just kick me out the door and I'm like, no, please let me in. But
Yeah.
they never like kicked me out or anything. And it was an amazing event. Like I didn't know anyone. I knew absolutely no one. Like not a single person except the doc. I didn't know any of the development team. So like they're introducing themselves. I'm like, who are these people? You know, I know the doc. That's it. And
Mhm.
I talked to really cool people there. I met the doc. You know, maybe here I could insert a photo, but just amazing. I was like grinning from ear to ear. Just I'm like, I never thought I'd ever be able to meet someone I enjoy watching so much.
That and be shocked at how actually tall he is.
Massive, massive.
That was probably
He,
it for me. He was so tall when I walked in. Oh my gosh, I was losing my mind because that was my first time meeting him too, and I was
Yeah.
so nervous that entire event. I wish I would have taken it and enjoyed it a little more because I was nervous
right.
to talk to anybody. But I mostly
Exactly the
talked with
same.
the devs, and they were so cool. They still are super cool.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
when
it
I
would
was
have been.
there, I talked to no one. Like I talked to like a few people who like talked to me first, but I never initiated like a single conversation. And
Right.
I spent most of my time hovering around the playtest computers. Just someone got off, I'm on it. Even if I like my fourth time being on it, I'm on it. You know, just because like I
Yeah.
want to play. I just want to play. But yeah,
I know I didn't get a chance to actually go to LA, but I did like watch the videos, the YouTube videos and the streams
Yeah.
over and over and
Same.
over. And the one thing I can tell you is that when Robert Bowling said that we're making the game for all of you that are out there right now, I was just listening. I was like, oh, I wish I was there. I need next time I'm gonna be there. I don't care what it takes. Next time I'm gonna make it happen.
I had the same thought. I was like, man, this is so amazing. And the fact that I'm part of that community that could be there. Because if I remember correctly, they talked about the founders a lot and the whole premise of the founders and who we are to them and how we're going to carry, the game on our backs per se, over the next couple snapshots and and beyond, and how special we are. Other games and other companies have like given perks to like either their play testers, their devs, or somebody else, but them, Robert Bowling and Doc and his team, they're very transparent about who we are and that there will only ever be 10,000 of us, in this game. It doesn't matter who joins or what events they roll out. Like, we'll probably get to it a little bit later. The tower keys that were just announced in Snapshot 5. But they're not founders. We are the founders, and to get that badge of honor. And then speaking on that in the LA event, I felt that warm and fuzziness in my heart, like, oh wow, I am, that truly special to this, dev team in the pre super pre alpha game of Deadrop. So that's what I took away from just watching the live stream.
yeah. Writing off that, what were you guys like first impressions of Snapshot One? I'm gonna talk a little because at the event they revealed it and had those test computers, and the hype there was pretty crazy. Like I'm not even sure if they said that they were gonna reveal the game at the LA event. They might have. I might have missed that. But like I was like completely blindsided by the fact that the game's here. Like they've only talked about it for so long, and we're already like first baby steps in. Like they're not
Mhm.
waiting. They're not waiting at all. They're not waiting for a product. They're just giving us the raw like what they're working on. And
Right.
at those computers, you could see everyone was like, "Oh my goodness!" Especially like the Unreal Engine, like the graphics of it. Uh, Obviously the gameplay was really rough, but can't expect nothing. But yeah, playing on those computers, I love playing it. I couldn't wait till I got back home just so I could play it more.
Yeah.
That was the worst part. Was like having to go to the event, play on equipment that's not yours, and then knowing you had to wait however much time to go home and play on your own rig. Like that's like
Yeah.
the trade-off, right? Of going to an in-person event and loving the experience, but then going, oh, I can't wait till I get my hands on this.
Yeah, man. I mean,
So
go for it.
I was just gonna say I don't have a very good PC. I think it's like a 1660 Super, so it's not even what is recommended to play at Deadrop. So I guess my first impressions of Snapshot One, um, I I was messing with my sensitivity settings for goodness 45 minutes to an hour trying to perfect it, and I'm still tinkering with it still, and but I didn't know what was happening because a lot of like the shapes and textures were blending into everything, because everything was one solid color.
Yeah.
So it was a little confusing to play at first, but I was so stoked to play the game. I was just beside myself in excitement to get on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Striker, go ahead.
No, you're good. You guys kind of hit a little bit of some of the items that I felt. Like my very first impression when I had heard about Snapshot One was that, like, my God, the speed in terms of like how fast they got something, even at the smallest level, like got something out to the people. So like that was, or to the founders, that was my very first impression, which was these guys are operating at a different level. You know, they're setting the pace.
Right.
So the fact that they launched with that, those different trials right at the very beginning so quickly within, announcing the founders, that showed something to me. The second thing was exactly what you felt earlier. Like I was messing with my settings for like 30 to 45 minutes, right? Also trying to like feel a little bit about like, man, why does my shot feel off versus like, okay, wait, this game's really early. Take it down a notch. Okay, let me play with sensitivity to get it to feel, good or whatnot. Those are probably my two biggest like first impressions. But like after like day 1 or 2 days, once I started to see like Z Laner, for example, posting his like his video about like, hey, let's check out Doc's new game. Like that resonated really well with me. Like not just from seeing his perspective, but also like the community's reaction to it, right? You had people on both sides of the fence, right, saying like, this is horrible, like bad graphics versus, hey, like how cool is this to be a founder, to be in it this early, to be able to play it, to play test. So like listening to the conversation and seeing how people reacted really left a lasting impression with me when it comes to Snapshot 1.
Yeah. And like moving on to Snapshot 2, I know there wasn't a real huge jump in the game. It was like kind of basic, but I think it was really important because it was a testament to the developers recognizing us. Basically, the entire Snapshot was things we requested: FOV sliders, more settings, graphical stuff, and like I think that really proved to the founders really early on that they are here for us. They're not here making a game is obviously the product, but it's the experience of they're making a game for us.
Yeah, definitely. You know what might be good really quick, guys? For any of the claws that might be watching, that's somebody new that's coming in, can you describe a little bit about like what Snapshot 1 was and then versus like what changed with 2?
Yeah. So Snapshot 1, really basic stuff. Kind of a really kind of small testing area, but they introduced the first gun. They had a couple of firing ranges to show kind of what they had in mind. And it was a lot. I think the main core of that was visuals. It was a really big visual surprise for everyone. The graphics, the animations. I think that's like quite kind of what they focused on for Snapshot 1 because a lot of the movement stuff and the gameplay was a little rough, but those graphics really showed. And that transition to Snapshot 2, like I said earlier, FOV sliders, graphical upgrades, some bugs like with the firing ranges. There were a lot of little bugs that people were annoyed about, and Snapshot 2 they listened to those exact bugs that we talked about and the community submitted for feedback, and they fixed those bugs. Obviously, there's always still going to be new bugs. When you fix a bug, a new bug comes up. But
Yeah.
they really listen to everyone through that feedback form.
Yeah.
I see Dragon leaning forward. So, Dragon, did you have something to say? You started leaning in.
No, I think what was really fun to see. Yeah, I'd probably be my last point on Snapshot One. One of the coolest things was when you actually went into. Was it Snapshot One or was it Snapshot Two? When we actually went into the firing range, and we actually saw the tower in the distance,
Yeah.
from our hideout.
Yeah, that was Snapshot 1. You know, believe it or not, it's kind of hard to think about, but they set up
Yeah.
that whole lore right from the
Yeah.
very beginning. They let us like imagine what this could be, and I think that was really important for Snapshot 1. It wasn't just a barren wasteland of blocks, you know.
I got goosebumps when I saw the tower. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get there. I want to be in there, and yeah, that was really cool. That was really special to see for sure.
I just want to ask real quick, like maybe like on a 1 to 10 scale, how well did you feel like you were heard, like in your feedback form? How well did you think your feedback form was specifically like read and you know, integralized?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so like on a scale of 1 to 10, from my personal opinions, I think it was probably like a 6 or a 7, you know, of the things that I originally put. But if I had to like reshape that to not just be my personal thoughts, but like the community's thoughts, I would definitely put that at a 9 or 10 for sure. Like one of the most impressive things that I've seen so far.
Is that between? Are you basically asking the scale between Snapshot 1 and Snapshot 2,
Yeah,
or
that
from
transition.
Snapshot 1 to Snapshot 5?
From 1 to 2, so like that first feedback form, that was like a really big important moment for everyone because that's when they first got to put their feedback in. How were you surprised like with the feedback that they listened to, or maybe you were even a little disappointed, like maybe they didn't get that
Yeah.
one feature you didn't want. I want to know everything, you know.
You know, I'll take it. You know, like from the perception of what Stryker said, from a personal standpoint, I would say a 2. Primarily because this is personally, primarily because I do not know game development. I do not know what I need to look for. I do not know. To me, settings are. I only pay attention to like sensitivity settings. I don't pay attention to like the FOV. I don't really pay attention to really any of that. So I think I put in some like super basic feedback about like gun feel. I think one of the specific feedbacks is when I clicked, the gun wouldn't immediately start shooting, so there was like a half-second delay.
Yeah.
That's something that I did notice. But also the gun really wouldn't zoom in all that great, and that kind of tripped me up. So again, that is not a shot at anybody, but that's my personal thing because I just don't know what to look for. I'm a super casual gamer.
That's the point of this, you know. Get everyone's perspective.
Correct.
Like even like
Correct.
you do nothing, I knew nothing, and we want to hear that. Like, how did you really feel? And I think I'm in the same boat as you. I don't really care too much about visuals. More like I guess animations. So I was with the gunplay. I was a little disappointed with like the recoil feeling. Like the gun honestly felt terrible. Like the recoil was like ugly, and I put that in my feedback. And that wasn't quite something they could get to that soon in Snapshot 2. So I was a little disappointed, but I had a little bit more leniency with like, I get it. You know, they have so much to look at. Like that recoil stuff is like such a minuscule part because they upgrade it. Okay, what does that do for the experience? Not a lot. You can't really build upon that. So I understood it, but I didn't really feel maybe like that heard.
Yeah, and from I would have totally agree with what Stryker said. You know, from a community standpoint, they hit almost everything. They were very responsive in Discord chat. You know, there's a bunch of different channels for like, hey, here's a bug for this, here's a bug for that. You know, here's a ticket for this, here's a ticket for that, and they were very quick to respond and say, oh hey, you know, John Smith, let's work on this. Hey, here's this pointed this out. And they were very quick to address that, and it showed in the next snapshots, because I can read and I can see what people are saying. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't really pay attention to that. You can go into the wall and not come back out, or you can fall down this gap and fall to your death. They were very quick to fix that. So I would, on a scale of 1 to 10, from a community standpoint, I would say it'd probably be about maybe 9 to a 9.5, because the reason why it's not a full 10 is it was impossible for them to address everything in that time span between Snapshot 1 and Snapshot 2.
Yeah. And just like before I give it off to Pineapple to talk about his experience, they did only have 6 weeks to get
Exactly.
So their baseline was 6 weeks from Snapshot 1 to Snapshot 2. So that's kind of like gives perspective of how much time they had and why they couldn't get everything that people wanted. 6 weeks, not that much time. So Pineapple, how was your experience?
You guys had everything very well said. So much to talk about right there. But the big things that came to my mind was like, yeah, community, totally agree with you guys. Like 10 out of 10 on that one for me. I think they were very receptive to everything we had to say, which was fantastic. I mean, we're only talking from 1 to 2 in terms of snapshots, but even after snapshot 2, we couldn't be there in person like LA, right? So they were there in the Discord having conversations with people. Like they were there ready to engage in person, giving us their full attention. I think that's amazing, right? So obviously they're listening to us. On the personal side of things, I would say I'm the different side of the spectrum from where Dragon's at, because I'm pretty well versed in game development. Not that I've produced anything, right? I just know my stuff about it. So for Snapshot 1, like that's what I was looking for. It was like, oh, this is the size of this play area. This is how this gun shoots. And the first thing I went over and asked Greg, one of the devs, I was like, hey, why is there no fall damage, right? And he gave me a very well-versed explanation and was like, this is why, and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are thinking of everything. This is amazing, right? Yeah. So for that aspect, like, and going forwards, even beyond Snapshot 1, I'm constantly looking at the development stuff. I'm talking with the devs. They're giving me good feedback that I love to hear. And that has me, like, the most excited about any of this. But personally, though, 10 out of 10 on that as well, only because I think all of my opinions were the same as the community's. Everything that I asked for, and I was really detailed in my first snapshot feedback, right? And I think it was beyond that one, they started asking for bullet points.
Yeah.
I was just sending paragraphs.
Novel, baby, novel.
But everything I asked for that I can recall ended up making it to the next snapshot. And I wonder if that has to do more because I was focused on the gameplay as opposed to like the art, like like animations, as you had said, Aldo.
Right.
So that could have been one of the big factors.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things really quick that interests me is just like, how does this all shape out? Like the dev team obviously is growing, not only in size but in their production, but like so is the community feedback, right? Like our thoughts are evolving as the game evolves, and our feedback is evolving too. Look what we're doing here. You know what I mean? So that's interesting to me.
I want to move on. Snapshot 3, a really big leap in their development, especially in those, again, only 6 weeks to develop. Who knows how much they were holding back in Snapshot 2. But the introduction of the Proving Grounds and multiplayer. Multiplayer was... I remember talking to people before in the Discord before. There were people that thought they'd be multiplayer, and then there's people in there like, you're crazy, dude. Come on, we're only like 18 weeks in. You really think they're going to have a multiplayer to support thousands of people? And I'm like, when I heard that, I'm like, you're right, but I mean, how cool would multiplayer be? And sure enough, Snapshot 3, Proving Grounds.
Yeah. They completely shocked me with speed, and I keep coming back to that idea, but it's the truth. Like when I've tried to evaluate their work, like I'm just shocked at how fast they're putting things out there, Like you even look at like some content creators posting YouTube videos, and then like 2 weeks later there's an update or a new Snapshot 5 that erases everything because so much has changed, and it's like
awesome.
And sorry to interject there, Striker, but you always talk about the speed, but it's also the quality of what they're producing in that small time frame, and everything, leading from Snapshot 2 to Snapshot 3, and the implementation of the Proving Grounds. I was completely blown away. And there weren't any colors or textures or anything, but the gameplay felt smooth. Wasn't great, but for what it was in that particular stage of development, it felt very smooth. The proximity chat was really good. Um, the only thing that I struggled with, and this was probably the biggest note of feedback, is the audio. I heard footsteps that felt like they were directly in front of me when they're like 2 floors above me, or two floors below me. I struggled with that hardcore. Um, I laugh because Doc always talks about where's the audio,
That's a good
but
one.
it was just I was thoroughly impressed. But the point is, like, they are, producing such incredible content in the game and dev stages. But the quality of it is still so good.
Yeah, I mean, just to wrap up real quick on the topic, like when you see them putting out these different snapshots at the speed that they're doing it, like you start to get a little bit of insight about like what they're thinking, like what are the priorities, right? Like if we jump from like snapshot 1 and 2, you see a lot of focus around like how does the gun shoot, how does it feel when it's in your hands, how does the aiming look, right? You have that. Then all of a sudden you jump to multiplayer, or when they release this ability for everyone to be able to jump into lobbies together, and now it's like, okay, they're really wanting to focus on, hey, how are you moving when you're going up and down vertically on these maps, this vertical map. They want to know, hey, how are interactions going to happen when you have different players maybe teaming up or being friendly versus not being friendly. And so it gives you more feedback in terms of trying to understand what they're thinking about what the future has. Because like if we get to the point where the community base really understands what the goals are for the future, and they have the trust in the founders to be able to relay our thoughts and our feedback, I think that is where the secret sauce will be made. But those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, I want to pass it straight to Pineapple because I know me and probably like Dragon, we're like kind of the individualists. We're thinking about the individual playing the game and how they feel. But I know Pineapple, like he thinks a lot more about the totality of the match. How does the gameplay move, the map design? So I want to hear what Pineapple has to say.
About which snapshot?
Snapshot 3 mainly. Snapshot 3,
Snapshot
Snapshot
3?
4. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, like you said, beyond 2, 3, and 4, they kind of blend together. Yeah, in terms of map design. I think what surprised me the most initially with 2, and then it expanded. Right, was like we got such a big map immediately. Even though there was no textures, whatnot, It didn't look pretty yet. Right, the scale is huge, and the verticality is like. I mean, it's unique
Massive.
for an extraction shooter right now. Yeah, like they're the first game to try this out, right? There's a lot of discussion on high ground. Like, in what game do you not want high ground, right? I'm sure there's an answer to that, but nothing that I can think of at the moment, right? You play Fortnite, oh, you're trying to get up higher, right? Something like that. So I think with the scale that we got, with that whole discussion of the who wants high ground, whatnot, movement, like we've got vaulting now, we've got zip lines, whatnot, right? Which were introduced to Snapshot 3. Am I correct on that?
3, 4.
Oh,
Four,
I
four.
Lines, right?
Was
area.
the zip lines in 4? I think it was 4.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking of 4 then. But yeah, no, all of that stuff is like really great, and we gave some really great feedback on that. For example, like climbing back up the zip lines, right? There were like, I feel like the fan base was like half and half on that, where it was like, make it faster, don't have it at all, right? And they ended up with, they just took it out. You couldn't climb up the zip lines anymore with this recent snapshot. I think the flow, even though that's a really loose term in the design world, like flow has a lot of different meanings. The flow is great. If take that how you will, right? Your definition of flow may be different, but I feel like when I'm moving from point A to point B, I can see a couple of different routes to get to that point, right? And that's fantastic from a design perspective. Yeah, I don't really think there's more to touch on than that, but just rather than it's thought out, you can tell it's thought out. they're working together to put things together, and that's always really fun to see.
So we'll move on to Snapshot 4, just very briefly, because as we said earlier, not a huge jump in gameplay. I know they introduced the sniper, which is huge, but we won't go too much into that. What I really want to talk about in Snapshot 4 was the tournament. I mean, we all know the tournament, got the poster right there to prove it, but I won, and we have Striker second place, and I'm not sure if you guys participated too much, but what was your thoughts about it? Did you think it was too soon? Do you think there was why are they doing this? But what are you guys' thoughts?
I'll start with that just because I didn't participate. I actually didn't even hear about it. I was pretty absent from the community during Snapshot 4. I played it very minimally.
It was also holidays, right?
It was holidays. I had other stuff going on. I couldn't participate too well. So I found out after the fact, and I was like, "Oh, I missed it," But as for timing, I think it's great time, especially before their big Snapshot 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit in my personal video that it was kind of like when they did. So after Snapshot 4, they released that announcement saying they're gonna add an additional 6 weeks to or I think it wasn't 6 weeks, but they're gonna change that development period to 3 months instead of the usual 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That was a kind of a surprise for everyone. Like, what are we gonna do now? I need my 6-week hit of the Snapshot, and I think that void beautifully with the tournament, and because they completely shifted to, man, I gotta wait so long to, I gotta start playing and practicing for this tournament.
Oh yeah.
So I think the tournament was a great idea. And although surprising, I think it was actually executed quite well with allowing everyone to be participated.
Yeah, I mean, thoroughly enjoyed the tournament for sure. From my perspective, when they first made the announcement, I caught it because again, this was one of the projects that I'm following the deepest, right? Which was, so when they made the announcement, I was there, signed up, ready to go, reading all the instructions, getting feedback from what other people are saying in the game. But when it comes to me participating, Snapshot 1, 2, and 3, I came in, I checked it out, I made a video, I stayed tuned with the Discord, and I gave my feedback, and it was rinse and repeat, But the moment I heard about the tournament, I went much deeper into it than I probably should have, right? So first thing I did, and I probably what Pineapple was discussing earlier, assess the map. What are players going to do and why are they going to do it, right? And then 2, this is an extraction shooter. What does it mean to have done your work before the tournament, to load up on your guns, load up on your ammo, prepare the way you want to play, So I focused my time on that, pretty much a whole week of playing, looting, speculating on what people were going to do, and just trying to come up with my quote unquote own little meta, which I think is the most fascinating thing that came out of this is that we're going to get to Snapshot 5, but having the opportunity to talk with the development team about why we did what we did during the tournament, I think that gave them a lot of feedback, more than just, typing out the bullet points or talking, messaging in Discord. So, obviously had a blast doing it. So it was a really fun experience, and I'm excited for more of it.
Yeah, and they reviewed those VODs, and I'm not sure if they watched every 3-hour stream that happened, but they watched a lot of gameplay, a lot of different styles. I had an aggressive, I just gotta go for it style, and I know a lot of people had that passive, I'm gonna get maybe 1-2 kills and extract because I'm playing for points. So they really saw how the game's going to be played in a competitive stance and how they could change the new map to fit to maybe mold those styles back. But we'll focus on the depths of it on a different day. Mm-hmm. So and this is about to be our last topic, is your Snapshot 5 experience. And what I mean by that is just the event experience. There's so much in Snapshot 5. There's no point of even getting into the whole Snapshot. That's definitely saved for another day or multiple days, honestly. So just your experience, how was it? Maybe you're traveling, booking, how just the whole experience in total, because that's where we all met, right? That's where this idea, the whole DroppeDead podcast came, was at that hotel after the event. So I want to hear, I know, but we weren't together the entire time. We all had different experiences, so I want to hear it.
Who wants to lead it off on this one?
I got it. Just a small note going back to the previous topic. I didn't play in the tournament either, um, but I do feel like it got so much hype in the game that was necessary, and I think the hype kind of followed through to Snapshot 5, and I think people were extremely excited about it. So I think it was definitely a great time to do it. And congratulations to first and second place here in this
Yeah,
podcast.
big
So
congrats.
huge kudos to you. I am a terrible. I cannot express the the intensity of terribleness I am at mouse and key. I am mostly a controller player, so it's difficult for me to.
As you can see with the 8 controllers on your wall, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could
Yeah,
tell.
exactly.
I think we could tell.
Yeah. Love it, love it.
So I could not compete in a tournament. But again, I had other like personal life things going on, and but I heard about it and I was hyped. I didn't play it. I didn't even watch any of it, but I was stoked that it happened and the way it happened. So, but as far as Snapshot 5, I'm a huge fan of Optic Gaming, and I've been following them for about 3-4 years. I'm not like a super fan, like dating back to COD 4 or prior to that, or COD 2, um, or even the Black Op days. But I have been a fan of Optic Gaming really ever since Z-Laner was in discussions with joining a gaming organization. And I've always been a fan of Z-Laner. He's one of my top favorite streamers on Facebook, and I was super stoked to find out that he was playing for Optic. And I've known Optic. I've been watching the competitive Call of Duty scene. So when I saw that Midnight Society and Optic Gaming were doing a collab, I snapped my neck towards my wife. I was like, "I'm going. Let's do this." I know it's probably not the greatest time to go or spend the money, but I was like, "I'm going. We're gonna do this." So it was a little nerve wracking flying solo, but I will say that um, if I did not book my room where I did, I probably would have never met y'all. I probably would have never met any friends. I probably would have been alone the whole weekend. Um, so I am super thankful that everything worked out the way it did. That I met each and every one of you. And those of you watching, if I met you, cool. Give me a shout out in the comments down below. Um, but I'm just super excited that everything did the way it did. I think Optic was a great host. To see Hex basically knight Doc on stage was
That was an
Oh
amazing
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Amazing
that was an
moment.
incredible moment for sure. And to capture that on my phone was amazing. And I think everything was laid out well. The seating was great. The gaming area was great. The meet and greet was great. I felt a little rushed in the meet and greet, but rightfully so. I totally understand. But also, I know I'm talking a lot. Um, the amount and caliber of streamers that were at the event, unbelievable, and probably will never happen again the way it is. So kudos to Midnight Society, kudos to Optic. It was a great event, and I am definitely going to go to the next one for sure.
Awesome. I'll let one of you guys go first because I got a lot to say. So
Okay, I was gonna say it's a big
Sorry.
event. It was multiple days, right? So of
Yeah.
course there's a lot to say.
yeah,
I have so much I could say from
Yeah.
personal experience, right?
everyone
But
does.
I think I'll leave us with a quick story just about how I mean personally I feel like I was the luckiest person going there, and I'm sure everybody felt like that, right? But I just felt
Yeah.
so lucky to be there and
I
all the
was the
experiences
luckiest.
I had.
I was the luckiest.
I know, right? But so I got there at like 3 a.m. the day before the event, right? And I slept until the afternoon. I woke up and I wanted food, so I just Uber Eatsed it. It was like storming that day, right? I
Tornado.
was probably yeah. I was on the phone with like Uber for like 5 hours. like trying to figure out where my food went. Right?
Oh, no.
I spent the entire day before the event just like losing my mind, basically. And then when the food got there, it totally destroyed my body. So I was not ready to socialize with anybody, right? So, I mean, it's like 9 p.m. at this point. The day's pretty much over. And I was in the shower and I looked at my phone. It was like, Doc just left. And I was like, I missed out on the Doc being there. Like, I was just like, this event sucks. Like, I'm not the event, right? But this trip sucks, right? And from that moment forwards, Doc came back a couple hours later. I got to talk to him. I met new devs at the event. I had a great time. I accidentally walked in through the wrong entrance with Lupo. I was like right behind Lupo, and I ended up walking into where all the streamers were. So when everybody was out in line, I was just having conversations with all the streamers, which was pretty funny.
Let's go.
Wow.
Like from that bad experience at first, I ended up just like I kept getting lucky. I ran into some devs at the airport on my way back, and just talked with them. Like it was just from that point forward, it's like everything went so smoothly, and I had such a great time. Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing I'll talk about. The event itself was amazing. I would go again 20 times over. It was very well done.
Yeah, it was definitely a highlight of the year, like no question. And we just got the year started, but for me, you know, so I'm an accountant, so we have tax season that we're going through right now, and luckily for me, the event happened right after a major deadline, right? So I talked with my wife, and I was like, we're gonna make this happen. This will be a little getaway for us, and we were both talking about, hey, we're gonna blog on the way up there, right? Literally 45 minutes from leaving the house. It's a 10-hour car drive to get up to Arlington from here down south in Texas.
Oh man.
And 45 minutes in, I get pulled over. And then, you know, I get pulled over. The cop comes to the window asking where we're going to go. And he ends up telling us that he asks what we're doing. I told him we're going to go to a video game convention in Arlington. And he says, like, what game? Like, or like, for what, you know, what's going to come out? And I was like, well, have you heard of Dr. Disrespect? And the second I said his name, you know, I just saw a smile go from ear to ear, and I immediately knew we were good,
way,
right?
Dude.
Yeah,
No
I told him. He was just like, he was like, what is this? Is this Call of Duty? And I was like, no, this is a new game. He's making it himself, so on and so forth. And he was like, okay, guys, give me a minute. Let me go back to the car. I'll be right back. So he goes and he's like, I'm going to issue you all a warning so that you guys can get back on the road. Boom, boom, boom. Here you go. And like the second he let us go, I just turned to my wife. I was like, turn the camera on. Turn the camera on. We have to talk about this.
That is amazing.
So what was cool about the event, you know, after getting there was that I posted that and so many people saw it that they came up to me. And, you know, I've always been decent at like talking with people for the first time, but having people come up and like, it made it so much easier. I feel like I got to meet everybody, like, you know, Joker, Helmet Fire, the twins. You know, I was even walking into the hotel. I was down on my phone, and there was a person to my left, and I was just texting or tweeting or something for like 5 minutes, just walking. And I just remember thinking, this guy, whoever's on my left, he's like really tall, like freakishly tall, right? And so it wasn't until we got to the elevator that I looked up and I realized, oh shit. That's Dr. Disrespect. And I was like,
wow.
The event has officially begun, right? He even recognized me. He's like, you're the guy that got the ticket, you know? And I was like, yep, that was me.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
For real. So it was a good experience. Obviously, you know, we get to socialize. I get to meet all of you. We all got to hang out, you know, in the hotel or go out to grab some lunch on the road or, you know, just even talking with the devs, you know, right before the major event. Like, hats off. And I didn't even, you know, that's everything leading up to the actual event, which is was just amazing, you know. So point is that from the beginning to the end, you know, event of the year, no questions asked, hands down.
With that experience, I'm sure it is. Dude, that's an amazing experience.
Oh yeah.
So I actually wasn't gonna go. You know, too much money for me. I don't have a job, so I don't have money. I get birthday money. That's all I got. I got birthday money, and I ration that till next birthday.
Smart man.
So that's how I go. So I'm like SoCal. So going all the way to Arlington, Texas was way out of the question for me. I'm like, I wish I could go. I know it was gonna be such an amazing event, but it just wasn't possible. But the tournament came up. You know, first place reward, a paid trip, and and hotel to the event. I'm like, wow, that's like, this is it. This is like, I need to win. But going into it, I'm like, I gotta have real expectations of I'm probably not gonna win. There's so many people that are gonna participate, and I don't know their skill levels. But I tried my best, and I did it. You know, I was able to win, and
Dub.
those like 2 days after the competition of submitting the scores to the announcement of who won. I'm telling you, like 7 hours a day, I was on Discord waiting, just waiting for the announcement of who won, and like I was on edge legit for 2 days straight, and it was like the weekend. I didn't even get to like enjoy the weekend because I was just, did they post it? Did they post it? Did they post it? Did they post it? And then like I was on the Discord, I was lurking, and I see someone say, "Hey, they posted it on the website." I don't know what the website's called. They updated the website, and I check it, and there I was, dude, top of
Boom.
the first place, and I'm like, no way. I yelled to my brother because I told my brother about it. He's like, "You're not gonna win. You suck." I'm like, "Whatever, dude,
Yeah.
whatever." I showed him. He's like, "No fucking way."
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was on the website, so I was like, maybe it's not official. Like, if it's not official, I'm actually gonna cry. Like, that'd be
bro.
the worst experience ever. But it was. So just getting to the event, already an amazing experience I would have never had anywhere else. At the event, I suck at introducing myself.
I thought you did a good
I
job.
just suck. I plainly suck. And that, honestly, it's why I created the poster. The poster was my way to get myself out there. So the idea behind the poster was I print out the banner of what I won because I didn't really know what else to print. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna get everyone to sign it. Like, I don't really care who, and this can be my way to get to know people. And like, if I didn't do this, I not only would I not have met any of you guys, which I'm glad I did, but I would have known no one. Like, I know so many more people now because of this poster, and it looks great. And so like, I thank myself that I did this, and they created this graphic. If they never created this thing, I'd just be lurking again. But
Yeah, man.
amazing
You also
experience.
have eternal bragging rights.
For sure. And
Yeah.
for personal comments on that one, Aldo, like when we posted the videos to submit our scores, I started reviewing your gameplay to see like, hey, where are we all, right? I wanted to know the scores. I was checking Discord, everything, right? And I remember I turned to my wife and I said, babe, I looked at the scores and it's really close, right? Like within 1 kill, 100 points of damage. I think I'm about to get second place and I'm a little upset. And she turns to me and she goes, you know what? If it goes to someone that's not going to be able to make the event, it's all worth it. And in the end of the day, that's what ended up happening. And I'm so happy you were there,
yeah.
man. Legit.
Yeah.
There you go.
You not only did you earn it, it's badass that we got to meet there too.
I remember like I self-calculated my scores and I put it in the Discord, and there was like no one said anything like relatively close, and I'm like, wait, people were saying like 1,500, 1,000. I'm like, dude, I got like 2,100, dude. Like, where am I at? And I remember joining in the game like after the tournament, some guys like, yeah, I hope I get like top 10. That'd be really dope. I'm like, oh yeah, what was your score? And I was like, oh, 1,500. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, like me too. I got like 2,100, and like we didn't say anything. I'm like, wait, I think I actually got a real shot. Like, so yeah.
For the record, the game that won it all was the last game at the end of the tournament, and we actually went 1-on-1 in that match, and he took the win. So it was awesome. I wish we had known in the moment because like the pressure, right? But like still,
I'm glad
cool,
I did it.
cool.
I'm glad I didn't know. That pressure would have killed me. But
Oh man, good stuff.
reviewing the footage, I also killed 402 during the tournament. I didn't know he
Yeah,
participated, but I did get him. But yeah, and the event was absolutely spectacular. Just meeting so many people, meeting the doc. I could say I met the two times now.
Kaboom.
So that's my little bragging, But yeah, amazing event. And I think that just about wraps up all we have to talk about this week. I want to give a quick shout out to Helmet Fire. I know he's starting his own podcast, which is a little unfortunate with how we didn't announce his and he announced his first, and how ours is gonna come up first. But go watch his stuff. I know it's gonna be amazing, and I hope we can hopefully maybe work together in the future. Maybe have a joint podcast. But
put some comments down there. Let us know what you think. I think it'd be great if we heard some feedback from all the other variants. Like all of those questions, answer them yourself. Put them in there. We'll discuss them in the next upcoming podcast snapshots, if you will.
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely. I also forgot to mention we are going to be looking for people to bring onto the podcast.
Absolutely.
Hopefully next week we'll see who wants to do. We'll see the new topics, but the more we really do want to bring people on here, get tons of point of views that we don't have, and so that's the goal. So put your name in the comments, what you think, what you would like to discuss in the next snapshot or next podcast, and who knows, you might just be on the podcast as well.
Hit that like button, baby. Shout out to all the variants out
Subscribe.
there.